This happened in 2012 when I was in college. I just transferred to a university in the Midwest and moved into a small off-campus apartment with a roommate I didn't know. His name was Aaron. We met online through a student housing forum, and he seemed normal enough during our chats. I moved in a week before classes started. The apartment was nothing special. 2 small bedrooms, a shared bathroom, creaky floors. But it was cheap, and it was only 10 minutes from campus. Aaron kept to himself mostly, which I appreciated. He was a little awkward, never really made eye contact, always had his headphones on. But again, not a big deal. The first few nights were fine. Then, around the 4th night, I woke up at about 3 a.m. to the sound of our front door clicking shut. I figured Aaron had gone out for a smoke or something, maybe to meet someone. I didn't think much of it. But when I got up the next morning and asked him where he went, he just stared at me and said, "I didn't leave last night." I laughed, thinking he was messing with me, but he just turned back to his cereal and didn't say anything else. That was the first time I got that uneasy feeling around him. You know, the one when something's just off but you can't explain why. Then, things started to escalate. A couple nights later, I heard something again. Not the door this time, this was more subtle. A soft scratching sound like nails on drywall. It was coming from Aaron's room. I figured maybe he had a pet he didn't mention, like a hamster or something, even though our lease said no animals. The next morning, I asked him about it. He paused for a moment, like he was thinking too hard about how to answer. Then he said, "Oh, I bite my nails sometimes in my sleep. Maybe that's what you heard." Weird, but again, not damning. Just weird. Except the scratching didn't stop. It got louder. And it started happening earlier at midnight, then 11, then as soon as the sun went down. One night, I pressed my ear against the wall between our rooms. It wasn't just scratching, it was whispering. I couldn't make out the words, but it sounded like multiple voices. Like a quiet argument in a language I didn't understand. I started locking my bedroom door at night. Then, one night, I came home late from a group project. I walked into the apartment and the lights were off. I figured Aaron was asleep, but as I moved past his door to get to mine, I heard a voice from inside. It said he's home. Not Aaron's voice, this was deeper. Calm. Cold. I froze. A few seconds later, Aaron's voice answered, "He doesn't know." I stood there in the hallway completely still, heart thudding in my chest. My first thought was, he's on the phone. That's all. Just a phone call. But that didn't explain the other voice. It hadn't sounded like it came from a phone, it sounded like it was right there in the room with him. I waited, straining to hear more. Silence. Then footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Coming toward the door. I backed away and quietly slipped into my room, locked the door, and sat on the floor for maybe an hour, not moving, not making a sound. Eventually, I climbed into bed, fully clothed, door still locked, and just lay there staring at the ceiling until the sun came up. The next morning, Aaron was already gone when I came out. He'd left a note on the kitchen table. Taking a trip home for a few days. Back Monday. No explanation. No mention of the night before. That weekend was quiet. I had the place to myself, but it didn't feel peaceful. The air was heavy. The weirdest part was that I still heard sounds coming from Aaron's room at night. Whispers. Scraping. One night, I swear I heard laughing low and slow. I was tempted to go in and look, but something stopped me. A kind of deep, instinctual fear that told me whatever was in there didn't want to be seen. Monday came. Aaron didn't. No text. No call. Nothing. By Wednesday, I was worried enough to email his parents using the emergency contact info from the roommate agreement we'd signed. His mom replied within 2 hours. Her message was short. "Aaron is here at home with us. He hasn't left town since early August. I'm not sure who you've been living with." I read it 3 times before it sank in. According to her, Aaron had never moved into the apartment. Never met me. Never even been to campus that semester. I called the leasing office in a panic. They said, yes, the apartment was leased under my name, only my name. No one else had signed onto it. No background check, no ID, no records of Aaron at all. Whoever I had been living with was not officially on the lease. Not a student, not accounted for, and they were gone now. That night, I decided to finally check Aaron's room. I waited until after midnight, partly because I was scared and partly because I knew that's when the noises usually started. I opened the door. The room was empty. Not just tidy, completely stripped. No clothes. No mattress. No furniture. The only thing left was the closet door, slightly ajar. And the smell. It hit me instantly, metallic and sour, like rusted coins and something rotting. I walked to the closet and pulled it open. Inside, scratched into the back wall, were words. Hundreds of them, repeated over and over again in jagged lines. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. And beneath that, one line that was different, scrawled in a shaky, different hand. Don't look at its face. I slammed the closet shut and stumbled back, nearly tripping over the threshold. My whole body was ice. I couldn't stop staring at the door like it might swing open again on its own. I wanted to run, but where? It was 1 a.m. and I had nowhere to go. No one I could call who wouldn't think I was losing it. So I did what most people would. I turned every single light in the apartment on and sat in the living room with my back to the wall, phone in hand, eyes locked on that hallway. Around 3 a.m., the apartment went silent. Not quiet, silent. No hum from the fridge. No creaks from the floorboards. Even the traffic outside seemed to vanish. And then I saw something. A shadow moved past the end of the hallway. Not walking, gliding. Like it didn't have weight. I didn't want to look, but I did. There was something standing just around the corner, mostly out of view. I couldn't see its body, but I saw its hand, long, thin fingers curling slowly around the edge of the wall. It didn't move for a long time. Neither did I. Then it leaned forward just enough that I caught a glimpse of its face. I can't describe it. Not because I don't remember, but because your brain doesn't know what to do with something like that. It wasn't gore, it wasn't monstrous in the way movies show you. It was wrong. Like it didn't belong in this reality. Like just seeing it was a violation of some rule I didn't know existed. I blinked and it was gone, but it left the closet door open. That was the breaking point. At sunrise, I grabbed what I could carry, just a backpack, my laptop, and my keys, and I left. Didn't bother packing anything else. I didn't even lock the door behind me. I just walked out and kept walking until I hit a diner off campus, where I stayed for most of the day, too shaken to think straight. When I finally calmed down enough to talk to someone, I called the leasing office again. Told them there was something seriously wrong with the unit and I wasn't going back. I didn't even argue about breaking the lease, I just wanted out. To their credit, they didn't push back much. In fact, the woman on the phone went quiet when I told her the unit number. Then she asked, "Did you go into the second bedroom?" I said yes. Another pause. Then she said, "You should talk to campus security. That unit's been flagged before. There were complaints. A student went missing there 2 years ago. Left everything behind. Never found." She wouldn't say more. Just gave me the number to a guy at campus PD who apparently kept files on things like this. I never called. I stayed with a friend until I found another place. I transferred out the following semester. Never told anyone the full story until years later when it felt far enough behind me to say it out loud without losing it. But here's the thing that keeps me up sometimes. I still don't know what it wanted. Then worse, I still don't know how it got in.